was working with this white girl feminist, and I was explaining to her, we were just talking in the office about how I like playing chess. And, I said, I'd love to be a national master one day. She's like, don't you find it offensive that they call them national masters? Doesn't that remind you of slavery? And I was like, no, like that never came to mind. I worked on computers my whole life. And when you had a primary hard drive and a secondary hard drive, you had a master and you had a slave. I never once looked at that as being on the plantation. I just thought this was the master drive and this was the slave drive. This one follows the other one. So I don't look at everything through that lens. But I can understand a coach being in a room full of black boys or black young men and not reading the room. Like, you kind of got to know better, especially in 2003. Like, let me just stop the quote right here. You know what I mean? Let me not go that far. But do I think there's a possibility he didn't mean it like that? There's a possibility he didn't mean it like that. Because not everybody thinks like that. Not everybody thinks about slavery when they, specifically black people. And this is my biggest problem with black people. We try to act like we own the institution of slavery. Like nobody on this planet was ever slaves. Like white people wasn't slaves. Like Africans wasn't slaves. Like Irish wasn't slaves. Everybody's been a slave on this goddamn planet at some point. That was the culture of the planet. I don't understand why we have to bear the burden of slavery. Then you got people running around talking about the word slave come from Slav and white folks was the first slave. So why can't white folks be offended by the word slavery? Let them be offended. I don't want to be offended by this shit. If white folks were slaves first, let them be offended. Why the fuck should I be? I'm not offended by the slavery shit. I didn't come from slavery. Unless there's a reparations check coming, and in that case, we'll have to check my lineage.
Man, if you don't stop with that fucking reparations shit, you niggas is getting no fucking checks, man. Forget it.
Cali getting some millions.
Yeah, all right. Move your black ass out there, then. You get a millions, you can't even buy a house with that shit.
You damn sure can't buy a house.
Like, what fucking good is it?
You're gonna be broke the next year again. They get 3.5 million, be broke the next year. Gonna have
shit.
A 1-bedroom apartment with a closet full of Gucci.
Oh my gosh.